right. Raise your hand if you've ever bought clothing for a teenager. All right. Now keep your hand up if you bought the exact same clothing for their grandparents. All the hands went down. Right, because we all know that's ridiculous. One size does not fit all. A teenager doesn't wear the same clothing as their grandparents. Usually, they don't even shop in the same store. They have completely different styles, sizes, different bodies, different needs. We accept this as obvious when it comes to clothing. Your athletic friend shops at the sports store. Your fashionable sister shops at boutiques. Your practical dad shops at the local retail store. The same need, clothing, yet everyone requires a completely different approach. Yet when it comes to our health, our most complex, intricate, personal system, we somehow think one size should fit all. Today, I'm going to tell you why that isn't just wrong, it's dangerous, and why the future of medicine isn't about finding the one perfect solution. It's about becoming a health detective who gets to the root cause and finally creates a custom approach for your unique biology. If you're anything like the people I work with, you want to feel good in your skin, wake up with energy, feel confident in your skin, and enjoy time with loved ones, and not be a burden to anyone down the road. It's not just about living longer, it's about living better, with vitality, with purpose. But here's the truth. The United States is sicker than ever. In my functional medicine practice, I see people every day who are frustrated and struggling with their health. Usually they've been to a lot of doctors, tried a lot of things, and they continue to struggle. I often hear, "My labs are normal, but I still feel terrible." They feel like they're doing everything right, yet they drag themselves out of bed trying to figure out how to get through the day. They just don't feel like themselves. They feel dismissed and hopeless, afraid of the disappointment that comes with another failed attempt. I hear this over and over again. I've tried everything and I still feel like crap. If that's you, you're not alone. Right now, over 60% of US adults have at least one chronic disease. Nearly half have prediabetes or diabetes, and the number keeps climbing. Anti-nuclear antibodies, a marker for autoimmunity, have gone up 46% in the last 2 decades. Among teenagers, that number has nearly tripled. On average, most people spend the last 12 to 16 years of their lives in poor health. They're dealing with relying on medications, dealing with pain, fatigue, cognitive decline, or worse. Let me be clear, this isn't their fault. If this is you, it isn't your fault. We're all doing our best in the midst of a very complex system. We've been swimming in a toxic soup our whole lives. There's pesticides and herbicides on our food, pollution in our air, plastics in our water, hormone-disrupting chemicals in our skincare, furniture, and homes. And then there's the stress, emails, deadlines, the constant ping of notifications, the lack of sleep, lack of movement, no time to breathe. The body is under siege. You might be one of those numbers, but I know you're not a number. You are so much more than a statistic. You are a unique individual. Your story matters. You are a whole person. Your path to healing is going to look different from anyone else's. But that's not what you've been told, is it? The cookie cutter advice we get sounds so simple. Eat healthy, exercise, avoid toxins, get more sleep. But what does that actually mean? Because as soon as you start looking for answers, you run into chaos and confusion. Carnivore is best. No, vegan is best. Then there's Mediterranean, paleo, AIP, low FODMAP, keto, low histamine, pescatarian, vegetarian. How is anyone supposed to figure this out? Coffee is bad. No, wait, coffee is good. Fasting will heal you. Fasting will wreck your hormones. Exercise, great. But should you do cardio, zone 2, HIIT, then there's CrossFit, yoga, Pilates, and running. What if getting off the couch is hard? Avoid toxins? Is that even possible? They're everywhere you turn. And sleep? Well, that would be easier if you could fall asleep and stay asleep. You've been told it's your responsibility to be healthy, yet you haven't been given the tools to figure out how to do that in a way that works for you. If we don't do something different, the future looks grim. We're on the path to shorter health spans, more disease, a collapsing medical system, and way too many people suffering needlessly because no one ever showed them a better way. That's why this matters. I'm here to say, yes, it can feel overwhelming, and still healing is possible. The body is incredibly resilient, and you don't have to be perfect to get well. A popular analogy to explain this concept is the stress bucket. Anything that stresses your body will fill up this bucket over time. Injuries, trauma, lack of sleep, poor nutrition, toxins, infections. The body can handle a lot. But if the bucket spills over, that's when symptoms show up. We might have gut problems, skin issues, fatigue, hormone problems, and more. We also must consider that genetically, some people are born with very small buckets and are more prone to health problems. The good news is you don't have to empty the bucket to feel better. You just have to lighten the load enough so that the bucket stops spilling over. Every single person's bucket is different. I help people figure out what's in their bucket, empty or remove whatever we can, so we then have the space, so the body then has the space that it needs to heal. That's why I do this work, because I've been there. I know what it's like when your bucket's overflowing, when you feel hopeless, frustrated, and you feel like giving up. When I was in my 20s, I was falling apart. I was stressed, overworked. I actually said things like, "I'll sleep when I'm dead." At one point, my face was covered in eczema, acne, and rosacea. My skin was painful, ugly, and itchy. Trying to cover it up with makeup somehow made it look worse. I faithfully took every single medication that was prescribed, hoping that something would finally work. And then the stomach pain started. There were days it felt like 1,000 tiny knives were attacking my stomach. I couldn't figure out what to eat. Everything hurt my stomach. It all came to a head one day when I nearly fainted from the pain. I was driving home from work, and suddenly it was as if a black veil just covered my vision. I had to pull over. I was terrified. Sitting there in my car shaking, I knew something had to change. That moment brought me to a doctor who practiced personalized medicine. It was a completely different experience. I honestly thought it was a little weird at first, and I doubted that it would help, but I was desperate. She didn't just give me another pill, she asked questions. And because of those questions, we both started to understand why I was struggling. My gut was inflamed and out of balance from years of medications. My diet was making it worse. It also turns out that sleeping when you're dead is not a good strategy for health. I later figured out that environmental mold exposure and MTHFR gene variants were disrupting my detox pathways. This means the toxins were building up in my body, causing inflammation and coming out on my skin. I had a lot of work to do. There were days when everything felt impossible, but I stuck with it, and slowly I healed. I remember one day looking in the mirror and being excited that my skin was actually clearing. Finally, the red, irritated, scaly skin just disappeared. Another day, I woke up and realized my stomach felt light. The horrible pain was gone. It was like a huge weight had been lifted. As I recovered my health on the personalized protocol, I realized something life-changing. My symptoms weren't random. They were the result of a complex interaction between my genetics, my environment, my diet, my lifestyle, my story. And if that's true for me, it might be true for others too. This is what inspired my path to become a doctor, to help others reclaim their health so they can contribute to the world in bigger ways. This is what I learned. I'm not broken. You're not broken. None of us is broken. Each one of us is unique, and our path to healing is equally unique. That's what personalized medicine is all about. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's not trying what your friend did and hoping it works for you. It's advanced testing that actually tells you what's going on. You might be thinking, how is this going to be different from what I've already tried? Let me give you 3 examples of why this detective work matters. The first, coffee. Why do some people thrive on coffee while others get anxious and jittery? A landmark study in the 2017 Journal of the American Medical Association found that for slow caffeine metabolizers, coffee can lead to adverse cardiovascular events like heart attacks, especially when they consume more than 2 cups of coffee a day. The caffeine builds up in their system and can lead to sleep trouble, high cortisol, and it can stress the heart. In contrast, fast metabolizers actually benefit from higher caffeine consumption. It actually protects their heart and decreases risk for Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and depression. We're looking at complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Coffee can either help you or harm you, and it's all based on your genetics. Wouldn't you like to know if coffee is your kryptonite or your superpower? Second example, water damage in a building can lead to the growth of toxic mold and bacteria. Anyone can get sick from it, but for about 1 in 4, it can cause serious chronic illness. These people usually have a diagnosis of chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, autoimmune, or mystery neurological disorder. I've seen situations where one spouse is really sick from the toxic exposure and the other one feels completely fine. It's really difficult for the healthy person to believe that the environment is the problem when they feel completely fine. Sometimes fixing your environment is the most important thing you can do to fix your health. A person can have the ideal or perfect lifestyle and strategies, diet and lifestyle strategies, but if they're continually exposed to the toxins, they're going to stay sick. The third example, folic acid, the vitamin we tell every single pregnant woman to take. But here's a shocking fact. For nearly 40% of people, folic acid, the synthetic form of folate, can actually work against them. If you have MTHFR gene variants, your body can't properly convert it. It's like having the wrong key for the lock. When this happens, we can see it can lead to a host of problems, mood challenges, poor detoxification, heart problems. It can also increase cancer risk. Perhaps worst of all, for pregnant women, it can actually increase miscarriage risk and birth defects. These are just 3 of the thousands of examples of how personalized medicine can make all the difference for you and your health. Your genes aren't your destiny. They're your instruction manual for making smarter health choices. Your diet, lifestyle, and environment all impact how your genes are expressed. This is what happens when medicine becomes detective work instead of guesswork. We get to the root cause and create custom solutions that actually fit. It's about working with someone who sees the whole picture, your emotional history, your daily routine, your food, movement, stress, and sleep, your biochemistry, your blueprint. You might be thinking, this sounds hard, this sounds expensive, I've already tried everything. But here's the truth. It's harder to stay sick than it is to get better. If your body is holding you back from living your life, that is expensive. Missing out on your life, that's a cost you can't afford. If you believe you've tried everything and you haven't tried personalized medicine, I'm here to break the news to you. You haven't tried everything, which is good news. So what's possible? Imagine waking up after a truly restful night's sleep. You feel clear, energized. You move through your day with focus and ease. You play outside, laugh with friends, and live life fully. You're not just getting by, you're living with purpose. You're showing up for the people you love. You feel like yourself again. This is possible. I've seen it, I've lived it. So where do you start? Even in the midst of all the confusion, there are some universal principles. Listen to your body. Symptoms are a sign that something is out of balance. Eat real food, spend time in nature, connect with the people you love. Just start somewhere. And get a guide. You don't have to do it alone. That's what I do. I help people uncover the missing pieces, make sense of the confusion, and finally build a personal roadmap to healing. You don't have to keep guessing. Your health is worth fighting for. Healing, real lasting healing, is possible. It's time to stop forcing one-size-fits-all medicine into a world of beautifully unique individuals. Thank you.